Okay, let's talk routing. Routing is a really important part of this. That way you don't get time code coming through your main speakers and making everyone want to, you know, shove screwdrivers in their ears. So the first step of routing is making sure that the audio from our Ableton project is going out to the right device, right? Not our MacBook speakers, not our Bluetooth headphones, but we need to make sure it's going out to Dante or whatever we're sending our audio to, right? For the purposes of this video, because I'm not routed into a soundboard right now, you'll notice I have it set to my MacBook speakers, which is why all I have available to me are outputs 1 and 2. Left speaker, right speaker, right? Well, when I route to Dante, I have 17, 18 total well, probably 32 total outputs. I just use 16 of them or 17 of them. So to fake it right now, I'm gonna come to live. I'm gonna go to settings, and then you have your audio output device. This is where you're going to set what the audio is going out to. So usually this will be Dante Virtual Sound Card or Wave Sound Grid. Because I'm not hooked up to anything right now, I'm going to use this black hole device. It's got 64 channels of audio in and out. I'm just going to make sure I do that. If you're setting this up for the first time, it's incredibly important that you enable the channels of output that you want to use, and you do that through output config, okay? What that means is this, I've got 64 inputs and outputs on Black Hole, but I don't need to use all of those. But I need to activate the inputs and outputs that I actually want to use, okay? So for our purposes with Liberty, we don't use any of the mono outputs from 1 to 14. 1 to 14 are all stereo. So I'm going to disable the mono outputs so that they're not an option when I go to route something. So like if they're not enabled, they won't show up in this menu. Okay, so you can see right now I have a bunch of stereo stuff, then I have a whole ton of mono channels. Well, if I go to output config, I need to enable what I want to see, so stereo outputs 1 through 14. 15 and 16 are mono, so I don't want the stereo enabled, I want the mono enabled. And then 17, a lot of the campuses use that for time code. And then I use these for drum triggers, so I'm going to leave them there. But typically, you wouldn't need any of this stuff. You just basically need 1 through 17. And 15 through 18 are mono. I turn those on because I have a different system. But yeah, so you're going to enable the options that you want to see in your routing thing through output config. And if you ever have issues, that's a great place to start if you can't find the channels that you want to route to. Okay, so now we're just going to make sure this stuff goes to the right place. Time code at my campus is 16, but every other campus, I believe they route it to 17. So time code goes out to 17, and that's really important because time code does not go to the sound console at all. It only goes to ProPresenter, and it only goes to lighting. So making sure time code is routed to 17 is really essential because we don't want that sound coming through our main speakers, right? So we gotta every time make sure time code is routed to 17 and it's unmuted, and that'll communicate with our computers. The MIDI click for most campuses is 15. So we're going to expand 15, the MIDI click. We're going to take it from the master to external out. So master routes it down to this group right here, this master group. We don't want that. We want this to be routed to an external output number 15. And that's I think that's universally true at all the campuses. The click is going to 15. The tempo and the markers don't have any audio information going out, so they don't need to be routed. Cues, for my campus is 15. I think every other campus is on 16. So we're going to expand cues. We're going to take it off the master bus and send it out to 16. So that's how it's typically going to look. You want to see time code going to 17, unmuted. MIDI click going to 15, unmuted. Cues going to 16, unmuted. And now the tracks themselves are a little different because each one of these individual tracks is actually not going out directly to an output. They're going to be routed first through the groups down here. So rather than them having an individual number, they're going to look a little different. For this portion, we need to go into session view. And again, to do that, we can click this button or we can click tab. So I'm in session view, and I need to route those individual tracks to the places that they need to go. And this is what that looks like. So for Let the People Sing, I'm going to expand that group, and it gives me all the tracks. And you'll notice I've already done it here, but I'll show you what I did. You'll notice that every track goes to audio 2 sends only. What that means is it's not going to send it to a primary output. If I leave this on Let the People Sing, which is where it is by default, what that's going to do is send the audio from this track to this group, and then wherever that group is routed, which is master. But it's also going to send it out to drums. So essentially, if I don't change this value to sends only, I'm going to be getting audio from 2 different places. One is going to be the group, the drums group, and the other one is going to be the master. And so I'm going to get 2 versions of that signal going out. I don't want that. I need to make sure that this track only comes out of the group or the send that I want it to come out of. So the first step is I'm going to expand the song, and I'm going to select every track. So I'm going to hold shift and click the last one, select every track, and move all of those over to sends only, because by default they're going to be sent to the group, right? So audio 2 sends only, okay? That makes sure that every one of those tracks is only going to the groups. Then I'm going to send each track out to the group. Now if you look, drums is A, bass is B, guitars are C, piano is D, keys are E. Aux is like strings or synth effects. It goes out to F, and then vocals goes to G. So I kind of have that memorized, and I made those groups follow in order with how the tracks are arranged by default. So that way, all of these, all the drums, then bass, then guitars, it just goes in a line like that. Again, I love to do things visually. So we're going to select all the drums and then move them to send A. We're going to select all the basses and send them to send A. All the guitars and send them to send C. And now pianos and keys I split up. Okay, so piano always goes piano, organ, piano group, anything that's a keyboard. Could be a Rhodes or a Whirly or an organ or piano. I send those to the piano group because they're a melodic instrument, right? They will serve a purpose for melody. Okay, keys specifically, these are synths and pads and ambience. Those go to E, because those fill a different role in the song than the actual keyboards or the pianos. So organs, pianos, whirlies, Rhodes, those go to D. Keys, synths, those kind of things go to E. The aux group, I don't believe I have anything with strings in it in this set. But the aux group is where you can see here, piano, electric piano, and organ all go to D. Keys all go to E right there. Yeah, anything with strings, if I have any strings channels, which I don't in this set, but those will go to F. So keys, strings, and then any horns, sometimes there'll be horn sections or anything weird like that will all go to F. Even sometimes there's a synth effects track that's green over here, and that'll go to F as well. You just kind of got to say what needs to be separate in the mix to give the sound guy the most control, right? So strings primarily will go to F. And then you got vocals, and those all go to G. We don't use a lot of vocal tracks. Sometimes if we have a choir, we'll leave a choir track in, or if there's any like auto-tuned parts or things like that that really add something special, I'll put it in vocals, but we don't use a whole lot of them. So that's how we route. We route every track to a different subgroup or send, and then we make sure that that track is going only to the send, and then all that audio information goes to these. And once we've done that, we need to make sure that these groups are going out to the right outputs. So drums goes to 1, 2, and they're labeled here. Bass goes to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then we want to make sure that these groups are routed to external out, and then whatever number that is. That's pretty much it for the routing. That's how the set works for a Sunday. That's how what every element does. That's how it's supposed to be routed properly. And if all of these things check out, when I send you that file, you make sure that all that looks like that, you're going to have a successful Sunday. It will work out. So I hope that's helpful in demystifying what each element of this software does. Next, we're going to talk about shifting keys, so warping for pitch, so you can put songs in different keys. Then we're going to go into building songs and building sets. And I'm going to show you exactly how I do that and what it looks like. But I hope that, as far as a Sunday operation, really helps out. So that's it for now.